Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Hi everybody and good morning. You guys, we have so much to cover. The royals are out in force. It's just amazing. But I want to start off with this tweet that was put up by Oceana, where she says that she's a fan of mine because of the class and grace that I showed after what Christopher Boozy did to my family. And I love how she put copyright this, because that is the picture that's all over the internet that Christopher Boozy claims is copyrighted, and he tried to have my video taken down and YouTube went, nope. All right, let's get into what's happening today. We're going to start off with Princess Anne, who I told you the other day jetted out to New York. There were no photos until now. She was the guest of honor at the gala dinner for the English-speaking union at the Cosmopolitan Club. Now, to get there to the black tie event, she had to ride on one of the ferries, the Staten Island ferries. So, typical Anne, she hopped right on that ferry. And she was very interested in it. And so she went up to the front of it and she stood there and watched how they operated it and spoke to the ferry operators, which I think is just phenomenal. While she was in Staten Island, she visited the National Lighthouse Museum in St. George as well. That was also on social media. They said she was very gracious and she made a point of speaking to everybody in the room. And as she was leaving, she carried her own bag. She's such a boss lady. Now, she's about to make history because she's taking over Prince Harry's military role. Yes, that's why she's known as the hardest working member of the royal family. Yes, Anne is going to be the new Captain General of the Royal Marines. Oh, fabulous. Woman power. You go, Anne. You deserve it. All right, moving on. Next up, we have the Duke of Gloucester. I hope I'm saying that correctly. He went to visit Mountbatten, Hampshire, which is a hospice, last week. He spoke with staff, patients, visitors, and volunteers during the tour. He unveiled a plaque, which will be displayed in their building to commemorate his visit. Wonderful. When he got done with that visit, then he went to his next appointment, which was the Brickwork Museum. He was there last Thursday looking at that. At his age, he's still going strong. I love it. Just love it. I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to be smart, but this is an elderly gentleman that should be retired, and look at him go. I love it. Moving on. All right, and last week, before Sophie went on her visit, she went to visit the Forest School, and she went to look at the new staff accommodations that they have there. She also viewed some tributes to the late Queen that the students made, which I thought was very lovely. I find it interesting that we did not know about this trip until she was already in the Congo. All right, moving on to that trip. Now, while Sophie is on that trip, she was taken to the Genocide Museum, and she looked at permanent exhibitions that give insights into the causes and consequences of the genocide against the Tutsi, and Rwanda's growing effort in fostering peace, unity, and reconciliation. And if this place looks familiar, it's because it's the same place that Charles went and that Harry went when he tried to latch on to those U.S. delegates that were touring. All right, another stop that Sophie made was at the City of Joy, which is a program that supports survivors and helps equip them with the skills and confidence to take on leadership roles in their community. And I would say from looking at this picture, she was very well received. Then Sophie went to visit the Pansy Foundation, which uses holistic approaches to help survivors of the sexual violence rebuild their lives and bring their abusers to justice. She joined the women in a textile skills workshop, sewing. Next up, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, went to St. Catherine's Ward of the maternity unit of the Royal Surrey Hospital, where she was meeting new mothers, midwives. They were talking prenatal and postnatal mental health. You know how she is about early education, early years. Here she is arriving. Watch this.
Okay, guys, rotate.
All right, you guys don't kill the messenger when I say this. Her hair looked lovely. I love the style of the dress on her, but for some reason, I'm not loving that color on her. It's kind of a funky mustardy yellow color. Yeah, it's just not doing it for me. But okay, other than that, other than the color of the dress, she looked lovely. She walked in, the staff was waiting to meet her. Here's another little clip. Watch this.
So this is all our postnatal ward team.
So she spoke with the staff for a few minutes, and then she went to the special baby care unit, which gives neonatal care for tiny and premature babies. Now, we all know what happened as soon as she got there, don't we? There was a mother there with her baby. You know she had to touch that baby. Catherine also met staff from the unit's Jasmine team, they're called, which helps women that are having mental health issues. And she was in a discussion with some parents and kids. And yeah, watch this.
Second and forthcoming are
Well, she said goodbye to all the staff. You could see everybody was standing around waiting for her. And then she put a message up on Twitter saying how nice it was to meet everybody. And yeah, it was a successful trip. Moving on. Next up, Prince William went to St. George's Park. That is a park of 330 acres. That's large, in the Staffordshire countryside. And it's home to England's 27 teams. Yes. It's also the center for the National Football Association, of which we know that Prince William is the president. And William went there to mark the 10th anniversary for the Football Association. Yes, he did. Okay, so one of the first things that he did, first of all, he kept stopping what he was doing to talk to the children. Like, they were in the middle of things and the kids would go by and he'd stop what he was doing to talk to the kids. Like, here's a perfect example. Watch this. Then he watched a lesson on how the deaf soccer players or the hard of hearing soccer players are, talked about. Just watch this. Really cool.
So they're basically deaf as soon as they walk in the stadium, all of them. So then from there onwards, we have to really work a bit. We've got to use this.
Pretty cool. Looks like a good time was had by all. Yes, good way to end the day. All right, moving on to our next royal. Queen Consort Camilla has her royal book club, and she has now showcased her autumn reading list. We know that some of the charities that she's involved in help put libraries in schools, and the ones that have libraries, they help provide books for the libraries. Fabulous. All right, next up, they're pointing out that Meghan seems to be, quote unquote, twinning with Wallis Simpson a lot. There's a lot of uncannily, the outfits, the stares, where she tried to copy Diana. And now that she's being vilified, people are saying that she's trying to copy Wallis Simpson. You have to wonder, especially when you see photos like this. But while people are saying they're twinning, they're not really, because Meghan was given everything by the royal family that Wallis didn't get. She got an HRH title. Wallis didn't get that. She got a royal wedding. Wallis didn't get that. She was welcomed warmly by the Windsors, which Wallis didn't get. And yet, Meghan was never happy with anything that the family did for her. She cried victim from day one. But in the end, there's one thing that people are saying: if Meghan really wants to copy Wallis Simpson and she's really a fan of the Duchess of Windsor's elegance, she should probably emulate the one thing that Wallis Simpson had that she doesn't have, which is a dignified silence. And of course, now we know that Harry and Meghan are having fights with Netflix because now they want the edits so that the royal family's not being attacked, right? Because they're fighting for those titles for their kids, and Netflix is saying no. And so now they risk having their entire show shelved indefinitely. You know what? It would serve the two of them right, and it would serve Netflix right. There you go. And now people are saying, Harry and Meghan have to decide if they want in or out. You can't be half in, half out. The Queen made that clear. They've been trying to do it since then. They're going to have to make a decision soon. All right, let's move on to our last topic. All right, here we go. So the Archetypes podcast dropped. Remember, Meghan turned the whole thing to herself. I was in a Korean spa and I was embarrassed because I was waiting for a body scrub. Now remember, this was going on during the time that she claimed to be so dirt poor. Remember that she couldn't eat anything but the Sizzler, all you could eat salad bar, remember? I like what Parting Shot said. Thank you, Meghan, for teaching me, a simple Asian woman, about Asian stereotypes from 20 years ago. She said, now do Arab women, but leave the blood diamonds at home. Spot on. You should also know it's being reported on Twitter by Kaz. She lived in LA in the 90s. There were 2 spas in Koreatown at that time. The Beverly Hot Springs, which was for men and women, and the Olympic Spa, BHS, for girls. But the age limit was 14 and over. And the OS is 18 and over. So, as usual, it looks like Meghan might have lied. I mean, where's her fact checker? The one that she hired. This sucker slipped right past her. The Caribbean prince pointed out that Meghan Markle is a hypocrite, and it's propaganda, because she took off her clothes to get where she is now, but she's telling other people not to do the same thing. It's the same hypocrisy that has made her infamous. And I agree, especially when you look at these pictures. PPMM pointed out that Meghan Myers is criticizing Mike Myers and Quentin Tarantino for sexualizing women, in spoofs, I might add. But how about Suits? Because she spent most of her scenes naked. Exactly. Remember, you guys, as I told you the other day, the rules are for thee, not for me. That's how she operates. Do as I say, not what I do. And KRS points out that she herself chose to play these hyper-sexualized and over-exaggerated roles, so she personally added to the stereotype. So they're pointing out that at this point, she's a hypocrite because she's not taking responsibility for what she did. Yeah, typical. All right, next up, this comment was found on Twitter underneath a Vogue article, and it says exactly how I feel. I don't want to hear one word from her. She's an unsuccessful, unknown cable TV series actress who married a prince's trust fund. She's an American woman supported her entire life by the money of men, and that's true. Her father, then her boyfriend, then her ex-husband, now her father-in-law, and then her husband. Okay? No one is on speaking terms with her. She's not a feminist. She devours the resources of others. She's using a British title in an American magazine on American politics. She's never spent more than 2 hours of her life in Sussex, and Diana Vreeland would be rolling in her grave. First the Kardashians, now this. Vogue is no longer en vogue. It's déclassé. I agree. And that leads me to this article, which is exactly right. After a month of glorious silence, Meghan's back. I mean, we had a month without being bombarded every day by some story or some picture. And now it's all gone and we're being bombarded again. God help me. All right, just a couple more things. This picture is making the rounds on Twitter. You guys, that's creepy. Sorry, but it is. And finally, one of my subscribers, Claire, wrote to me and said that she felt like Harry and Meghan were channeling communism. What do you guys think? I'm not sure about that one. All right, you guys. So the royals are out in force. And the funny thing is, as they're out in force, Harry and Meghan are trying to release things. They're trying to pull the attention back to them. But no, it's not really happening. So the royals are, don't complain, don't explain. They just keep going. And and that's what's happening. All right. Leave those comments below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, you guys. Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter, Gettr, Rumble. You can email me. The link to all of those and the link to my Patreon is in the description box. To those who have donated to my coffee fund and through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.